Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the Sunday Night Football showdown slate between the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. But before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos as well as live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast. I'll have a link down below. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, off that on patreon.com. NFL package, we cover every single showdown slate as well as the main slates. And I do want to thank today's sponsor, Prize Picks. So if you guys are not familiar with Prize Picks, two different ways you can play for NFL. The first way is you just take over, under, and straight up fantasy points. Right now we have, let's see, a good amount of players already posted for, I think about 10, maybe a little more than 10 players posted for the Sunday Night Football game. So again, for example, Aaron Rodgers projected for 21.5 fantasy points. You either take the over or the under. Pretty simple. Or you can go back up and go over to single stat DFS. So you can take over under on passing yards, rushing yards, a lot of different stuff. And you can also mix and match too. So these are all the sports they offer. You can play a couple from MLB, a couple from NFL. So if you guys want to try it out, sign up, use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below, you get a 100% match up to $100. And finally, I want to thank you guys again for your continued support on this YouTube channel as we close in on 10,000 subscribers. If you guys could, hit that like button, start to aim for 100, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and you don't go live. You'll see me twice on Sunday. We'll be live for the main slate early and then for the Sunday Night Football show on slate. All right, so let's get into this. Before we get into players and the prices for the Sunday Night show on slate, let's look back lineup here from Thursday. So Thursday was pretty unfortunate that McCaffrey got injured. I talked about this a couple of times. I was like, the only way Christian McCaffrey fails is he gets injured. Sure enough, he got injured early, so that really, really sucked. Obviously, he was 90% owned, as he should have been. The only way he failed is an injury. And someone asked me, I was like, well, like what percent chance I gave it? I was like, probably like 2-3% chance. And, of course, it ends up happening. It was a hamstring. I think he's going to be out for a couple weeks. But, yeah, that really sucked. Obviously sunk my lineup. I was really hammering home McCaffrey and the captain. He was going to be under-owned in the captain. Only 37% in the captain. I thought that was a little bit too low. So, yeah. Chris Conley is now the Tony Snell of the NFL. So he's going to play the entire game and do absolutely nothing. Anthony Miller, though, was pretty solid. He got a touchdown. But yeah, McCaffrey being in the captain spot just killed me. If McCaffrey stays healthy, I'm probably cashing because I was above 50 percentile with this lineup, even with him in the captain spot. But yeah, let's take a look at the winning lineup again. This is in the luxury box, and ownership always condenses on the good plays in the higher stakes. So this is again a $2,000 entry for the show on site. Anthony Miller in the Millie Maker, I think he's about 30%. In this, he was about 50%. And if you go down, obviously you can take a look at Chris Conley, who was about 60% owned. So even though Conley was a bust, he was about double the ownership in this one, as again, he should have been, right? He's a guy playing the entire game, basically 1K wide receiver. Like, really? 0 catches? But yeah, the winning lineup, so they faded McCaffrey, obviously Cooks in the captain with Darnold, Moore, Mills, Gonzalez, and Anthony Miller. Now, I do want to show you guys one thing. Winter, man, this was a sweat. So this was a screenshot from the third quarter, but he was actually solo shipping the Millie until about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. If Sam Darnold does not sneak that in, and Royce Freeman actually scored the play before, I think he would have been a millionaire. So, oh man, that was a fun sweat. I knew like my lineup was dead. I was guys McCaffrey, but he was so close to solo shipping it. So I do want to give Winter a big shout out. Even though he didn't win, he still had a great day. And yeah, what a sweat that was. All right, so let's get into it now. Let's take a look at the Vegas odds, I should say. So Packers and 49ers in the 50 over-under, so definitely on the higher side. 49ers are 3-point favorites. All right, we'll start off with the road team in Green Bay. So what I first want to do is take a look at the snap counts here for the Packers in their last game. At the running back position, so Aaron Jones played about 70% of the snaps, A.J. Dillon about 30%. That's kind of what we expected, about a 70-30 split. Now, Jones was super productive with his touches, after scoring 4 touchdowns. Don't think we can expect that again. At wide receiver, Devontae played about most of the game. Lazard and MVS were both ghost out there, playing 2/3 of the game, 65% and 66% respectively. and both had 0 catches. Kind of crazy. Cobb only played 18% of the snaps, so he did have a few catches. He's productive when he's out there. And Green Bay did say they wanted to get him more involved. So we'll get to that. At tight end, kind of gross, but yeah, Tunyon is definitely their pass-catching tight end. Played only 43% of the snaps. Daphne, 45%, and Mercedes Lewis, 55%. We'll get to San Francisco snaps when we go over to the 49ers. So, starting on the Green Bay side, the top 3 guys look pretty solid, right? The offense is condensed, meaning you know where the productions come from. When they're throwing the ball, a lot of the time it's going to Devontae Adams. Running the ball, it's Aaron Jones, the workhorse, and obviously Aaron Rodgers. So, again, this target share is pretty condensed for Green Bay as far as production goes. Aaron Rodgers at 11-8, I think is pretty safe. 49ers, mediocre matchup. Don't think it's the best. Don't think it's the worst. But I think he's definitely one of the safer plays on the slate. So we have Devontae 11-4, Aaron Jones at 11-2. I think Devontae has a lot more upside. We got to kind of throw that last game out the window, right? Touchdown variance is not something I'm trying to predict. 4 touchdowns. Take away those 4 touchdowns from Aaron Jones. I believe he has 17 fantasy points, and Devontae outscores him by 6. So, always got to factor that, right? Touchdown variance is real, and are we going to expect Aaron Jones for 4 touchdowns again? No, most likely not. So, for me, I think a small lean to Devontae over Aaron Jones, but I think both guys are pretty solid plays. Again, Devontae, one of the top wide receivers in the league, going to be targeted a ton, obviously a red zone target. And then Aaron Jones should play about 2/3 of the game, maybe a little bit more. He's going to be productive when he's out there. He's definitely involved in the passing game, 6 catches on 6 targets. So really, the top 3 guys for Green Bay, I think, all look pretty solid. Robert Tunyon caught a touchdown. Again, kind of just indifferent about him. Maybe he's a little bit overpriced in this one, but he is a red zone target. 4 and 3 targets first couple games is not amazing. So a little bit indifferent. Maybe, or I guess my take would be I think he's a little bit overpriced. Not completely out of play. As far as the wide receivers go, so MVS, Lazard, let's start with those 2. Both had 0 catches. Now, MVS was actually targeted. He was targeted in 4 deep balls, I believe. None of them connected. Lazard, on the other hand, was not targeted at all. Now, he is a good blocking wide receiver. So maybe that's why he's getting a lot of snaps right now, because he's really not doing a ton with the passing role, receiving role, I should say. MVS is probably the guy that has more upside than Lazard. Obviously, he's a deep threat, even though he didn't catch a ball last game. So I think he's a viable tournament play. Lazard, a little bit more worried about his role since he wasn't targeted at all. I think he'll be more of a contrarian play. I think the way you get to Lazard, or the reason you get to Lazard on this Showdown site is ownership, right? I don't think he's going to be super popular after the 0 target game. And finally, Randall Cobb. So didn't play a ton, right? But did have 3 catches and 3 targets. And Green Bay did say they want to get him more involved. He's a possession receiver, a guy in the slot, not going to run the deep targets, but a guy that will run those short routes. So all 3 of the secondary receivers of Green Bay are in play. Is there one I like more than the other? Not really. I think they're all kind of just secondary options, fine filler pieces, right? I'm not going to prioritize these guys. Again, kicker. Kicker's relatively safe position on the Showdown slates. Mason Crosby, definitely a safer option in a higher total game. As far as the Packers do go at 3-6, don't love it. I don't think they're a great defense, and 3-6 feels a little bit too pricey for them. Now, A.J. Dillon, I do think is a viable value play. Again, he'll probably get around 30% of the snaps. Had 5 carries and 1 catch and 1 target last game. I think he's fine value. You're not going to expect a ton from him, but he is going to be involved. Mercedes Lewis at $400, more of a blocking tight end, but does have 1 catch through 2 games. And that's really it. Again, Daphne is on the IR, so maybe more work for Tunyon and a guy like Mercedes Lewis, right? Yeah, because Daphne played 45% of the snaps last game. I don't think he has a catch, or he didn't have a catch. No, he didn't. So, all right, let's move on to San Francisco. Let's first go over these snap counts here. All right, so running back, well, this is going to be the tricky part of the slate, right? Elijah Mitchell and JaMycal Hasty, both not expected to play here. Cannon, more of a special teams guy. And Sermon is the one kind of healthy back that is coming into this week. They do have a couple other guys. We'll talk about Patrick and Kerryon Johnson just elevated from the practice squad. At wide receiver, so Brandon Ayuk did play a little bit more than last game, about 54% of the snaps. I think Deebo Samuel right now has kind of solidified himself as the number 1 wide receiver. Sherfield Sano did play a little bit, 34%, 29%. And then Juan Jennings, a rookie, played 9% of the snaps, but did have a touchdown last week. And then at tight end, George Kittle, 100% of the snaps. No surprise there. Ross Dwelly playing about 1/3 of the game. Okay, so starting on the San Francisco side, last game I will mention Trey Lance did not see the field. The previous game he did play a little bit. So, yeah, with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he's still a safer option. He did have 11 rush attempts last week. That was a little bit weird. He's not really a rushing quarterback, but did run one in. The one worry here is even though Trey Lance didn't play last game, there's always a chance Lance comes in the red zone or when they're close to scoring and maybe takes away an opportunity here from Jimmy Garoppolo. But quarterbacks, as always, as you guys know, are safe targets on the Showdown slate. And I mentioned Deebo Samuel. I think he's kind of solidified himself as the number one wide receiver. 12 and 8 targets right now, averaging 10 targets a game. Playing a majority of the game, too. I think he is definitely a viable spend up. And then George Kittle, I think, is too cheap at 8.2K. I know he hasn't had a big game yet, 5 and 4 targets, but you got to expect a breakout game coming soon, right? George Kittle is definitely one of the top tight ends in this league, and you're getting him at a nice discount here, 8.2K. So do like the price a decent amount there on George Kittle. I got to mention Elijah Mitchell, doubtful, Hasty on the IR. So we'll get to the 49ers running backs, but definitely some value there. Ayuk, God, I really hate Kyle Shanahan. There's a few coaches I just really, really hate. Shanahan, McVay, those are two guys you just cannot trust at all. He had 1 catch and 2 targets last week, but did play about half the game. Definitely in play. We know Ayuk's a talented wide receiver, but I think more of a GPP target because Shanahan is his coach. Robbie Gould at 4-4. Again, safe option, right? Kickers, safe targets in the Showdown slate. No issue there. 49ers defense, I'm not super sad about either defense going up against the Packers offense, a 50 over under. I guess if you made me pick like which defense I would choose, I would rather go to the 49ers, but don't love either on this one. Now, Trey Sermon, I think, is going to be one of the better value plays on the board. Right now, he is there listed on the top of the depth chart because everyone else around him got injured, and he is good to go for this one. He's only 3K. So, yes, Shanahan is a troll. You never know. They do have 2 other backs we'll talk about, but I think Trey Sermon is the best bet to kind of be the lead dog at running back. So at only 3K, I think he makes for a really good value play. Now, they do have Trenton Cannon on the roster. He's been on, 10 teams now in the last 3 weeks, it seems like. But he's more of a special teamer, so not a ton of interest there in Trenton Cannon. Jaquez Patrick, if you guys follow my XFL content, XFL legend here at 2K. He's expected to be in the mix at running back. I think he's viable tournament play. And then Kerryon Johnson is at $200, and he was elevated from the practice squad. Who knows how much work he gets. I will mention San Francisco historically likes running a committee at backfield. So if you wanted to roll the dice on guys like Kerryon Johnson or Jaquez Patrick, I think that is definitely viable for GPPs. And then we got to go over a couple cheap receivers here against Sanu at 1.4. Sure, in play, not going to play a ton. Played about a quarter of the game last week. Sherfield played a little bit more. He's at 6 targets right now through 2 weeks. And if you go back and look, he's played 34% of snaps. So I think he is, again, viable punt play, but you're not going to feel amazing about it because you're not going to see a ton of snaps. And then rookie Juan Jennings had a nice week, but only played 9% of snaps. So again, the San Francisco punt receivers are all definitely on the riskier side. Kyle Juszczyk is only $800. Now, he actually is a decent receiving fullback. He has 1 catch and 1 target in week 1, 2 catches and 3 targets in week 2, and did have a carry as well. I actually think he's viable. I do. Again, Juszczyk is a guy that they will look to at times. Play action, dump it off to the fullback. He can get a short yard run as well. So a little bit of interest actually in Juszczyk, which is really weird to say about a fullback. And then, I mentioned Kerryon Johnson. That's probably it, though, for me for San Francisco. So I think that's going to do it for the video as well, guys. If you haven't enjoyed the content so far, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos. And you know when I'll be live twice tomorrow, so make sure to follow or to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.